Hello all. So, as I was coming to one of my favorite parks here in San Francisco, I was on the sidewalk. This is about 20 minutes ago. I'm going up a steep hill, and on the street was a giganticus black SUV with black windows, tinted so you couldn't see except for the windshield. It was clear. This tank was headed straight for me at about 30 miles an hour. I think I had about less than a second to react before he was going to be hitting me. So my flight or fight mode kicked in, and I was able to sprint up the hill about 3 steps, and then I jumped up on a low wall, and that's all the time I had. As I turned to see where he was, he had seen me and was just grabbing the wheel. Well, the front tire smashed into the curb, and because of the sharp angle, it slightly bent his tire on the front. And as he got control of the vehicle and kept going, you could see it starting to wobble as he picked up speed. He got what he deserved. He was on the phone, looked like he was texting. Hello.
Hello.
How you guys doing? Look at everybody. So, then I started feeling really sick because I had the flight or fight mode thing where it fills all your muscles up with emergency sugar or whatever it is. And I haven't had to go there too many times in my life, but whenever I do, I get really sick afterwards, and it's already coming on. So I'm just gonna do the video and head back and die for a while. But let's go up, well, it's more like this way, and do the video. Jeez. Phone bots, they ought to be executed, especially when they're phone botting in their vehicle while they're driving. Oh well. A little foggy, a little cool. It's supposed to stay this way for some time. Just kind of our typical foggy weather here in San Francisco, California, US. So what I was going to talk about, I'm still going to talk about. World June and July heat wave. The biggest the world has ever seen, the longest and the highest temperatures. Some of the places that are seeing extreme heat: Central Europe, over there Denmark, Germany and Poland set all-time heat records. There's also been heat records broken in Cuba at 39.1 C or 102.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the reason I mentioned this is because Cuba shouldn't be really warming that much. The predictions are that the central or the equator of the planet will sort of stay the same temperature, and the heat will be the further north you go, the hotter it'll get. And it'll all sort of equal out towards the end at a tropical kind of temperatures, 80s, 90s, that type of thing. Doesn't look like that's the way it's going to turn out, does it? So over in Turkey, they're 5 to 10 degrees above normal. Extreme levels of heat in North Africa. Let's take a look at the map. Just look at this heat and look how big it is. Now, I agree that most of Africa that's in the heat area is desert and would be expected to have high temperature, but they're much higher than they used to be. Same with the Middle East and, of course, India. But where does all this tremendous heat seem to go? It always seems to go away, doesn't it? Well, not really. Nothing really goes away. It just changes location. In this case, 90% of all the excess heat on the planet ends up in the oceans. And that brings us to our next issue. The oceans are in their longest lasting heat wave on record. All ocean temperatures are above normal by 1 or 2 degrees F. But that's not the only place that temperatures are skyrocketing. Not many people think of the deep oceans, but the deep oceans down to 6,600 feet or 2,000 meters down are seeing record temperatures. How do we know they're record temperatures down there? Well, because the U.S. and many different scientific groups have put instruments that float on top of the ocean, or they go all the way down to the bottom and anchor themselves, and they have sensors all the way up to the top, and you can actually tell what the temperature is from the top of the ocean all the way to the bottom. That's how they determine El Nino, which, I need to go to that, has died out pretty much. Looks like we're in a neutral position, possibly going into La Nina. That'll bring cool temperatures to the planet. But where do these cool temperatures come from? From the depths of the ocean, as the cool air gets replaced with warm air. So La Nina, El Nino, the worst thing that could happen to our planet. It accelerates everything. So in the deep oceans, temperatures started to really rise in 2015 and has been continuously rising since then. So many predictions show that the North Atlantic Gulf Stream would slow down and stop and cause Europe to go into a freeze if the warming continues. We're going to keep an eye on that. Let's go ahead and look at the current as of right now. As you can see, everything looks pretty much normal. I don't see any less current than I've been seeing year after year. But this could change at any time, and very quickly. With so much bad news coming out on the environmental front, what do you think the Orange Man at the G20 said? He says that companies overrule environmental regulation. In other words, companies can pollute any place, anywhere, as much as they need to make the money that companies need to make. That's his thing. He throws out environmental concerns completely. He just says it doesn't exist. And that's an easy way to get out of having to do anything. I don't think that's going to work. I'm afraid we're going to have to put in new politicians. Politicians that actually think before they speak. When's the last time we had one of those? It has been a while. It can be here just as easy as anything. First, we need a good politician that knows what the situation is. Secondly, we need the people to vote for them, regardless of what party they associate themselves with. So get rid of the thinking that we must only decide between the corporate parties or we're throwing our vote away. That's stupid thinking, and that is going to get us all dead quicker than you think, in the most horrible way. It's about voting, people. What you put in your mouth and how much you drive and use transportation. But I've said this so many times. Your comments down below. So, 4th of July week here in the US, this may be my last video. It may not be. I'll know by the end of today. So if you see a video tomorrow, it means things went well. If you don't, things went bad. Oh well. So, until next time.